In the darkest depths of the Game of Thrones world, danger is measured not in swords, but in the creatures that lurk in the shadows. These are not mere legends, they are primordial horrors that command fear. In this video, we will look at the most lethal and powerful entities, beings that have shaped wars, kingdoms, and destinies with a ferocity that only ice and fire can contain. Number 1. Valyrian Horrors. It must be understood that Daenerys' descendants, the Valyrians, practiced blood magic and dark arts, gathered parts of the most feared animals and creatures, made macabre experiments, twisting the flesh of beasts and men to create monstrous creatures. The Valyrian Horrors are dark magic spawns that the Valyrians practiced in their most sinister experiments. Not all descriptions agree, but they are usually seen as monstrous hybrids, combinations of different animals, beings, and creatures. Those who have had the opportunity to see them describe them as reptilian beings, similar to dragons but without the ability to fly. They have massive bodies covered with scales as hard as iron, sharp fangs, and claws capable of shattering rocks and steel. Some versions say they have multiple heads, or the bodies of giant snakes, capable of strangling their prey. Other versions speak of beasts with atrophied wings, lion or wolf heads, and tails armed with poisonous stingers, or even flames sprouting from their limbs. The Valyrian Horrors are the result of the dark magical experiments that the Valyrian dragon lords carried out in their quest for power. Using the blood of dragons and other creatures, the Valyrians combined blood magic, alchemy, and arcane knowledge to create new life forms that could serve as guardians, living weapons, or perhaps as demonstrations of their dominion. Stories tell that these creatures were created to be used in the fighting pits of Valyria, where they were pitted against each other or against slaves for the entertainment of the dragon lords. It is also said that these beasts were guardians of Valyria's darkest secrets, guarding the subway cities and the chambers of sorcery, where the Valyrians performed their most fearsome rites. If these stories are true, after the doom of Valyria, when the Valyrian civilization was destroyed in a magical cataclysm, the Valyrian Horrors were left free to roam the ruins of the ancient city. Without the guidance of their creators, these creatures became even more savage and dangerous, becoming the lords of the ruins, lurking in the subway tunnels, the nearby jungles, and the crumbling remains of Valyria. Number 2. Ice Dragons. The ice dragons are huge creatures that roam the skies of the far north, far beyond the wall, where the cold is so intense that neither men nor common creatures can survive. These colossal beasts are larger than the fire dragons known in Westeros. Unlike common dragons, which are wreathed in flames and spit fire, ice dragons are, according to legends, made of living ice. Their skin is translucent, almost crystalline, and is said to glow in the moonlight, reflecting the colors of the ice and snow around them. Its eyes are described as two cold blue orbs burning with an icy flame. The breath of an ice dragon, instead of fire, it exhales an icy blizzard that freezes everything it touches instantly. This breath is so cold that it can cause armor to shatter like glass, swords to become as brittle as thin ice, and the ground to be covered in frost in the blink of an eye. Number 3. Manticores. Manticores are creatures of modest size, but the combination of their lethal venom and their natural aggressiveness makes them one of the most feared animals. In the case of the Manticores, we are not talking about mythology, as they are real, and we can even see one of them when it tries to attack Daenerys. These are small but extremely dangerous creatures, with a body that combines several animals. Their appearance is reminiscent of a large scorpion or an insect, with a hard, dark exoskeleton that acts like armor. Their bodies are covered with a chitinous carapace that protects them from potential predators, although few creatures would dare to confront them. Their tail ends in a sharp sting. Their jaws, though small, are equally dangerous, as they are designed to grab and tear their prey. They inhabit the most inhospitable and dangerous regions of Essos, such as the jungles of Yi and the lands around the Basilisk Islands. These areas, already dangerous and full of deadly creatures, are the natural home of the Manticores, which hide in dense vegetation or in the crevices of rocks, waiting for the right moment to strike. Number 4. Kraken. The Kraken is a colossal sea monster, with immense tentacles that can reach the length of several ships. According to legends and tales told by sailors, the Kraken is capable of destroying entire ships, dragging them to the depths of the sea with its powerful tentacles. It is an almost impossible creature to defeat, lurking in the dark waters of the ocean and attacking without warning, wrapping its victims in its enormous appendages and dragging them to the bottom of the sea. The Kraken is depicted on the banner of House Greyjoy, a symbol of the ferocity and domination of the sea that characterize this house. Some of the lords of the Iron Islands, particularly the Greyjoys, compare themselves to the Kraken in terms of strength, cunning, and dominance over others. Although the books do not relate a direct encounter with a Kraken, its existence is an important part of the beliefs and marine legends. In addition, it is rumored that the Celtigar house has a horn that serves to summon Krakens. Number 5. Basilisks. Basilisks are medium-sized reptiles, although some stories exaggerate them to the point of making them look like real monsters. Their bodies are elongated and scaly, with dark green or black skin that allows them to camouflage themselves in their jungle environment. They have malevolent eyes, which in some legends are said to be able to kill with a simple glance, although this is probably an exaggeration. The basilisk's head combines snake and lizard, including sharp fangs that inject a deadly venom. This venom is so powerful that it can kill a man almost instantly, and it is said that even a small wound can be enough to doom the sufferer. Their short but muscular legs are armed with sharp claws that can tear flesh and break bones with ease. Although they are fast and agile creatures, they prefer to ambush their prey rather than chase them, using their camouflage and ability to remain motionless for long periods to surprise any animal or person that gets too close. They are known to be territorial and will fiercely confront any intruder who enters their domain. In myths, basilisks are sometimes associated with sorcerers or alchemists seeking to use their poison in potions or weapons, though this rarely ends well for those who attempt to capture them or extract their venom. Number 6. Ice spiders. Ice spiders are described in legends as huge creatures, horse-sized or even larger, that inhabit the cold, bleak lands of the far north of Westeros, beyond the Wall. Their bodies are covered with ice, with long, sharp legs that crunch on the frozen snow. Their eyes glow with a cold glint, reflecting the faint light of the moon or stars in the endless winter night. According to the stories, these spiders are silent and lethal hunters, able to move with surprising speed despite their size. They can spin webs of ice or snow that they use to trap their prey, and their bite is so cold that it can freeze a person instantly, leaving their bodies rigid as if they were made of glass. Ice spiders are associated with the dark, frozen world beyond the Wall, where winter is eternal and death lurks in every shadow. It is said that these creatures accompany the White Walkers and serve at their will, hunting and terrorizing any living thing that crosses their path. Number 7. Dragons. Dragons are more than just beasts or creatures. They are symbols of power, magic, and dominion, once common in the world. Now they have become almost mythological figures for most of the inhabitants of Westeros and Essos. Dragons are huge winged creatures that can reach tens of meters long, with bodies covered in steel-hard scales. Their wings are immense, resembling those of a bat, and are formed by a thin membrane that allows them to fly with agility and speed despite their massive size. If there is one thing dragons are known for, it is their ability to spit fire. This igneous breath is hot enough to melt stone, steel, and reduce entire armies to ashes. Dragonfire is one of the most destructive forces in the world, and controlling it can mean the difference between victory and defeat in battle. These creatures originate from Valyria. The Valyrians, known as the Dragon Lords, tamed these beasts and used their power to conquer much of the known world. Dragons were a symbol of their power and a military tool, capable of devastating armies and entire cities with their fire. Dragons reproduce by laying eggs, which are extremely difficult to hatch, described as gigantic jewels of hardened scales, only hatching under special conditions. Dragons grow throughout their lives, and the oldest ones can reach colossal sizes, becoming practically invincible beings. They are intelligent creatures, capable of forming a special bond with their riders, who generally belong to House Targaryen of Valyrian blood. This bond is both physical and emotional, and dragons respond only to those they recognize as their masters. However, they are also volatile and dangerous creatures, difficult to control, even for their riders. Dragons are predators by nature and hunt large prey, such as deer, oxen, and other large creatures. They are territorial and solitary, except when controlled by a rider. They have a natural affinity for heat and fire, and are said to be immune to flames. This love of heat leads them to make their nests in volcanoes, mountains, or smoldering ruins, where they can rest and feel safe. The most commonly accepted theory is that dragons were created or domesticated by the Valyrians, this ancient and powerful civilization that mastered magic, especially blood magic. It is suggested that the Valyrians, in their quest for power, used blood magic to summon or create dragons. This magic, which involved sacrifices and dark rituals, may have been what enabled them to master these creatures and use them as weapons of war. It is possible that dragons already existed in wild form, and the Valyrians, through magic, tamed and bred them to suit their needs. However, some believe that dragons were directly created by the Valyrians, combining elements of nature and magic. Number 8. Giant bats. Giant bats are like colossal versions of the common bats, with a wingspan that can reach several meters, making them fearsome and dominant predators of the night skies. Their skin is dark, usually black. Their heads are similar to those of common bats, but much larger and equipped with sharp fangs. The eyes of giant bats are large and perfectly adapted to see in the deepest darkness. Giant bats prefer the more remote and less inhabited areas, such as the vast jungles of Sothorios or the deep caverns of Asshai. They are also spoken of in stories that come from the mountainous and forested regions of Essos, where the nights are long and dark, and the environment is conducive to such stealthy and deadly predators. In some lore, giant bats are associated with dark magic or supernatural entities, being seen as creatures that serve sorcerers or evil spirits. Number 9. White Walkers. White Walkers are creatures of absolute cold, and their presence is always accompanied by an abrupt drop in temperature and a cold that freezes everything around them. They are capable of controlling the weather, unleashing snowstorms and frost to cover their advance. In addition, they have the power to raise the dead, turning them into wraiths, which are their undead servants that mercilessly attack the living. Their eyes are bright blue, and their skin is pale with a hue reminiscent of ice and emits a faint glow in the dark. Despite their frail appearance, they are incredibly strong and agile. They are clad in armor that appears to be made of a substance similar to ice, but which is harder than steel. Their weapons are equally unique, swords and spears made of an icy crystal, which can easily cut through even the best steel armor and can break ordinary weapons with a single blow. The others can do things with ice that we can't even imagine, and create different substances with this matter. Weapons made of obsidian cut cleanly through their armor and kill them instantly, as Samwell Tarly accidentally discovered, a discovery that led to the rediscovering of this forgotten weapon. Upon death, the others melt to form a pool of extremely cold liquid. According to legends, they were created thousands of years ago, during the so-called Age of Dawn, as a tool of the children of the forest to protect themselves from the first men. But their creation proved to be an uncontrollable force. In time, the White Walkers turned against all living things, initiating a period of terror known as the Long Night. Unlike the Wraith, who are mere puppets, the White Walkers have great intelligence. They are aware of their power and use it strategically to demoralize and destroy their enemies. Their ultimate goal seems to be the extinction of all life, plunging the world into an eternal frozen night. Number 10. Asshai Assassin Shadows. Assassin shadows are manifestations of dark and dangerous magic. They are living shadows, entities without solid form, composed of pure darkness, vaguely resembling living beings but without defined details, as if they were silhouettes made of liquid shadow that can move and change shape at will. They are cold to the touch, and when close, they feel like a deep chill that spreads through the air. When a killer shadow moves, it does so with absolute silence, approaching its victims undetected. These deadly shadows are said to be almost unstoppable. They can slip through closed doors, under cracks, or through walls. The only warning of their presence is a sudden drop in temperature and a feeling of irrational fear that invades those nearby. The origin of the killer shadows is linked to the black magic and dark arts practiced in Asshai. They are created by the city's witches and sorcerers, who summon them from the depths of darkness to carry out sinister tasks. It is said that shadows can be created through rituals involving human sacrifice and the use of ancient incantations that only the most powerful and dangerous practitioners of magic dare to perform. One of the most well-known ways to create a killer shadow is through a shadow linked to a human. This is seen in the case of Melisandre, the Red Priestess, who uses her magic to give birth to a killer shadow that kills Renly Baratheon.